Hello, everyone, and welcome to Consciousness is Sexy. I'm your host, Patty Alfonso. How is everyone doing tonight? Our topic this evening, which it was really interesting when I kind of came up with the idea, and then I had all of these different awarenesses of where we could go with all of it. So I'm, as usual, very excited to be with you here tonight. And our topic is boundaries are bullshit. And when I first became aware of the word boundaries, and when I first learned about what boundaries are supposed to be, I was in energy healing school, and we were learning about how to set boundaries with people and how to make those boundaries clear with people. And I guess I got pretty good at that throughout my years in energy healing school. But then everything changed when I started using the tools of Access Consciousness. And I wanted to play with those tools on this show today. And the way that we perceive and look at boundaries when it comes to using the tools of Access Consciousness is actually really, really different than the way that most people talk about it and try to exert boundaries in this reality. And so the first thing to kind of play with is, the idea that we are all infinite beings. And as infinite beings, we have the ability to perceive, know, be, and receive all energies and all information. And so if you have that ability, then would you need boundaries? Would you need to set boundaries in place? If you're choosing from the space of being an infinite being, then are those quote unquote boundaries, and in Access we refer to them as barriers, because the point of view in Access is that when you're putting up barriers, you're actually stopping the energy. You're stopping your ability to perceive, your ability to know everything, your ability to be everything. So when I usually talk about boundaries with my clients or in my classes, I like to do this thing where, like if you're talking to someone and then all of a sudden they put up a wall and they put up this, barrier, boundary, right? So what's happening is that they're actually blocking the energy. And not only, as you can see from this, fake wall that I have created, not only are they blocking the energy from coming in, they're also locking themselves in this perceived, wall that we think that we have to. Boundaries usually, I think people think that they have to set them because, and I'm actually going to use an example here in a minute, that they have to set them because they have to protect themselves from something, from some perceived danger of something that's coming up or some perceived energy that they don't think that they can handle. And this came up for me during this last week when I was having a conversation with someone. And we were kind of creating this business deal, and we were creating and I actually tend to work really, really fast. And so I had all these ideas and I kept moving forward and this and this and this. And all of a sudden the person was like, stop. They're just like, I'm feeling really stressed out and I can't handle this and I can't deal it. And so they basically put up this wall between me and them and the energy of what we were creating. And it actually completely stopped the energy of creation. And so that's actually where the topic came up for this week, because when you're putting up boundaries, like I said, you're stopping the energy. And as an infinite being, do you really need to protect yourself from anything? If you're allowing yourself to have total awareness, if you're allowing yourself to have access to all of the energies available, as an infinite being, is there anything that could possibly, destroy you or hurt you? And so anyway, they put up the boundary and it killed the project and it killed what we were talking about. Now, because, I'm a bit of a bulldozer, I kept moving forward and I created it, on my own anyway. But the person just had put up those walls that we couldn't really get through and get past. And so the thing about boundaries, which I mentioned already, but I'll reiterate again, is that you put them up because you think you have to defend yourself against something, or you think that you have to protect yourself against something. But then what you're also cutting off is you. It's parts of you. You, as an infinite being, have the ability to be anything and everything, to be any energy that is available, to perceive, to receive information energetically from everywhere, to have an infinite amount of awareness and knowing. And when you are putting up those walls, you are actually cutting off your capacities. And so boundaries are bullshit. That's how I came up with, speaking about this topic today. And it cuts off your ability to receive, right? And this includes energies, it includes money, it includes awareness, it includes just everything. So please, what would it take for all of us to be able to let go and destroy and uncreate all of the interesting boundaries that we have all created throughout our lifetime? And one of the tools that I like using the most, well, it's, one of the most dynamic tools in terms of barriers and boundaries, is literally to just ask them to just lower. When you perceive yourself, walls coming up or that sort of defensive state, just really staying really present to that energy, whatever that energy is, and just asking, okay, lower my barriers, lower my barriers, expand your energy out, invite your body to expand out. Now, I know that I've given this tool a lot in the last few videos, but it's actually a new way of being. And so you kind of have to keep repeating it until it becomes sort of second nature to what it is that you are being. So lower your barriers, expand your energy out, lower your barriers even more. There. So do you notice even now the subtle differences in the energy once we've even just been asking? And if you ask them, it just happens. Lower your barriers even more, even more. And it literally changes the energy. Now, you can use that tool if you are with someone and they're putting up barriers. So sometimes what happens with barriers is that, someone puts up the barriers and then the other person immediately puts up their barriers. And then there can be no communion, no communication, no nothing when everybody has their boundaries up. So in those situations, if you are proactive and ask your barriers to go down and lower your barriers, then that can actually change the energy of the situation. With the person that I was talking about, when they put up their barriers, I had a not so conscious moment, I'll be totally honest. It literally, I noticed my barriers go up right away. And this is kind of a pattern between me and this other person where they put up walls and do that. And then I get like, why are you doing that? You're slowing this down again, that kind of thing, which is, not my most conscious choice in that moment. And as soon as I started sort of like becoming aware of the tension in my body, because barriers also, you can create barriers between you and your body, but your body can also give you awarenesses about when you're putting up your barriers, even if sometimes you may not know that that's what you're choosing. So for me, I'll tell you what it is for me, and I would really like to invite you to ask questions and discover what these sensations are for you and for your body. And you can always just ask, okay, did my barriers go up? Am I using barriers right now? Am I putting up boundaries right now? And kind of follow the energy. If it's light, it's true for you. And if it's heavy, it's not true for you. So for me, what happens is there's this like solidity that shows up in my universe. And what I mean by that is that there's actually not any energy moving. My body tightens, my shoulders get really tight and heavy, and my breathing changes. And again, please ask your body questions and get present to what the presence of boundaries looks like for you and how that shows up for you in your life. And also start becoming aware of the situations that quote unquote trigger those automatic boundaries to come up. I mean, this is something that we have created because we think we have to protect ourselves from something. So whatever that was that you thought you had to protect yourself from, is that even relevant anymore? And is now the time to destroy and uncreate all of those walls of separation that you have created between you and the rest of the world, between you and your body, between you and the earth, between you and people and your family, and all of those different ways in which, you know, we can create these boundaries. I think we may have a question. Let me just check here really quick. So Jean-Marc asks, what about healthy boundaries, managing expectations? Something tells me you are a different perspective on this. He says, as an empath, I find myself taking on the energy of my father. He drinks, he smokes, and he overeats, and I always find myself feeling out of breath, bloated, and literally I feel his pain. How can I channel this energy when I feel overwhelmed every single time I'm with him? Okay, so there is a difference between being aware of what works for you and putting up a wall and a boundary and a barrier. So a healthy, you know, way of quote unquote healthy way of doing that or being that is, you know what, this actually really doesn't work for me. Now notice, I'm very relaxed. I'm not agitated. I'm not taking anything on. I'm just like, you know what? This actually doesn't really work for me. Thank you. And then walking away or changing something energetically. Now that's really different than, no, you can't do that. This is my boundary. This is what I've put up. And so there's a big difference, and it's energetic. And it's the walls that you're putting up to create separation from you and from the other person. So in Access Consciousness, we talk about consciousness includes everything and judges nothing. And so the minute that you have a judgment about what's going on, then those boundaries come up, those walls come up, those walls of separation. So let me address your other, you know, this new iPhone upgrade, I can't get to my stuff fast enough. There's too many buttons to press. Okay, so then he says, as an empath, I'm finding myself taking on the energy of my father. Okay, so there actually really is a different point of view about empath within the tools of Access Consciousness. And so there's a difference between, as an infinite being aware of different energies. And then an empath, how it is defined in this reality, is about taking on other people's energies and healing them and healing them that way. I don't know if that's the best way to explain it, but like in this reality, an empath feels everything from all over the world. And so it's in the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that we get tripped up. Now, that's why in Access Consciousness, we call it perceiving, knowing, and being. So thoughts, feelings, and emotions are a bit of kind of like a lower harmonic of perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving. So tune into the energy of feelings and the energy of thought, you know, when you're thinking and thinking and thinking, and the energy of emotions. So I'm wondering if you can perceive the density of that, right? And now perceive the energy of perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving. So in those energies, there isn't actually a taking on of anything. And we've talked about this tool before, using the tool like, what am I aware of? Who does this belong to? So now, knowing that you're aware, and when you're around your dad, you are very aware of what's actually going on in his universe, right? Now, it's still going to be going on in his universe. You're still going to be aware of it. That energy is still going to be present. But when you're trying to feel it, when you're being an empath and you're taking that on, then you're taking that on. And yes, it's going to be very draining. And it's also, it's not your job to heal your dad. It's not your body's job to take on that energies and heal him. Now, when you're doing thoughts, feelings, and emotions, are you being an infinite being, or are you functioning from the finiteness of this reality? So this is a different way of being and a different way of perceiving things. So when you are with your dad, if you are in the infinite being space of like, wow, I can be aware of everything, I can receive everything, and I can be aware of everything, and I'm not going to be at the effect of it. So sometimes we're at the effect of thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Whereas when you're perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving, you can be aware of the energies, but you don't have to take them in or take them on. Now, when you create barriers, right? So let's say you become aware of an energy that is uncomfortable. And then you put up your barriers because you're an empath and you don't, and this is, not just for Jean-Marc, obviously I think this is for a lot of people that'll be watching. So you become aware of that heavy energy, and then you don't want it because it's not fun and it's bad and whatever. And so then you start creating all these barriers. So what happens is when you put up your walls, you're actually locking all of that stuff in. Now, when you are aware of those energies, if you can lower your barriers, and this, I know I said it, but literally expand your energy out. Expand you, the being, way out. Do it now. Notice the shift in the energy right now, even if I just asked for it. So expand your energy out, go all the way out to Australia, to Egypt, go way out. And from this space, would you be at the effect of anything? From this space of infinite being, are you inside your body, or is your body inside of you? When we function from the point of view that we are a being inside our body, perceive how small you have to make yourself to get into your body. Now expand way, 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 way out again. From this space of being an infinite being, again, would you be at the effect of those thoughts, feelings, and emotions? So are you an empath? Or are you an infinite being? Are you an empath that takes on other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions? Or are you an infinite being that can perceive, know, be, and receive everything? So if you have any, let's see, I think there was another part. Okay, yes, so I always find myself feeling out of breath. So now, is that an awareness that your body is giving you? Now, have you concluded, I'm out of breath because I'm feeling drained because of my dad? Or have you asked a question, oh, body, what are you aware of? What are you telling me? Now, I also have a family member that sometimes it's very challenging to be around them because of what they have created in their universe, the choices that they've made, and what they've created in their universe. We just have really different universes and realities. And so when I'm around this person, I can perceive the density, I can perceive the heaviness, I can perceive the sadness, I can perceive the depression, I can perceive all of those things in their universe. But I don't have to be at the effect of it. I can just be aware, this isn't mine. Who does this belong to? Return to sender. So that's another tool that you can use when you're around anyone where their energy is just unbearable. I'm just going to go for it and say it. It's just unbearable. So return to sender with consciousness attached. It's not your job to heal anyone. It's not. It is your job to be the truly magnificent, amazing, infinite being that you truly be. You're not doing anyone any favors by healing them. You're actually robbing them from the opportunity for consciousness that whatever that is designed to create for them. That was a really good statement. I'm going to say it again. So it's not your job to heal anyone. And when you take from people because you want to heal them, you are actually robbing them of the opportunity for consciousness that that particular thing is supposed to create for them. That's why we say return to sender with consciousness attached, because you want to send it back with whatever other consciousness is required so that they can choose and create something different. Now, a lot of people are very happy with their misery, and they're very happy with their drama and their insanity. So they don't want to change. So we have to have allowance for those kinds of situations where someone is choosing something that you get energetically isn't really going to create, but it is what they would like to choose. And that's where the tool of being an allowance comes in. So, okay, interesting point of view. They have that point of view. Interesting that that's the choice that they're making. Now notice that I'm not in a frizzy about it, and I'm not, like, oh, they should be doing this and they should be doing that, and that's going to create this crap for them, and it's not. No, just like, interesting point of view. I have that point of view. So Jean-Marc, interesting point of view that you are taking on your dad's energy. Interesting point of view. I have that point of view. Interesting point of view. I have that point of view. Interesting point of view that I feel out of breath when I'm without him. That I'm with him. Interesting point of view. And then you also mentioned that you're bloated and you feel his pain. Yes. And are you feeling, or are you aware? Are you feeling, or is your body giving you information? And so I have that too as well sometimes, like okay, so we're going to go into a little bit of a different thing here. So do you have a healing body? Does your body have capacities for healing? Now, you're a healer of sorts, so I'm going to gather that maybe you said yes to that. And for anyone else. So when you have a healing body, your body is naturally going to try to heal other people. And so you kind of have to have a little chat with your body of, hey, body, thank you for your capacities and your awarenesses. Can we really only gift them what they can receive? You can't ask your body to stop healing because it's one of its capacities, but you can ask your body to give the person only what they can receive. And continuously, with awareness, asking your body, like, hey, body, we really don't have to take this on. What energy can we gift them that they can receive? And that's it. And move on with your merry life. The bloating and all of that, like when I get bloated, I just ask my body, oh body, what are you aware of? Body, what are you aware of that I'm not allowing myself to be aware of? All of these things that are coming up with your body are actually awarenesses. Our bodies have no point of view about anything. And they also, oh, the thought just left. Oh, thank you. They also function from total and complete awareness and consciousness. So your body doesn't actually have, these barriers. Like, we impose our barriers onto our bodies. So they are literally picking up and receiving information all of the time. And then where they're receiving that information, they're trying to give you information with all of these different sort of, bloating and tiredness and all of that. So it's really important to destroy and uncreate the barriers that you've created between you and your body, and start asking your body questions. Body, what are you aware of? Body, what do you know? And then telling your body, look, we don't have to heal this person, and can we only give them what they can receive? And this isn't something that we have to do. So I hope that all of those sort of different, there's a lot of tools there all at once, are a contribution to the question that you were having. What else? We're almost at the end of our time, and I feel like I've talked about a lot. So let me see if there's anything else. So I'm prompted to reiterate the difference between knowing what works for you, being aware of what works for you, and being able to express that without putting up barriers. And there's a difference between, again, Like, let's say, for example, I had a friend who their mom, no, it was their dad, whatever, someone in their family drank a lot, and they would get really drunk and they would call my friend. And my friend was just like, I can't take it anymore. Like, I hate this, you know? And he could have chosen to like never speak to the person again, which is creating separation. But what he did was he said, look, I get it if you desire to drink and get drunk, like that's totally okay, but please don't call me when you're wasted, basically is what he said. He's like, it doesn't really work for me. That is really different than you're drunk all the time and you're wasted and I can't take it anymore, like resisting and reacting to that and creating a fight and creating the trauma drama of this reality. And it's very different to just say, hey, that doesn't work for me anymore, than to put up walls and barriers and create more drama and tension. So let me see what else. That was an interesting example that came to mind. With barriers, the important, quote unquote, my interesting point of view, the important thing to look at is whether or not you're cutting off energy, whether or not you've created like a wall of separation. And that, I think, is the difference. When you're creating walls to separate from yourself, from your body, then you're creating barriers and boundaries that are not a contribution to you at all. And so being an allowance of whatever it is that is showing up, lowering your barriers, expanding your energy out, and staying really present with everything that is showing up, and really continuing to ask questions. What is this? There's 4 questions that we use in Access. So what is this energy? Is it mine? What can I do with this energy? Can I change this energy? And if so, how do I change it? So sorry, I gave you 5 questions, but it's 4. So what is this energy? Can I change this energy? If so, how do I change it? And now I just gave you 3. So I can't remember exactly the words, but one of those, the most important one being, what is this energy? What can I do with it? Can I change it? There they are. What is this energy? What can I do with it? Can I change it? And if so, how do I change it? So again, just being really present with all of the energies that are available. As an infinite being with the ability to perceive, know, be, and receive everything, there isn't anything really that you could be at the effect of unless you choose to be. So unlimited awareness. I don't know about you guys, but I've always wanted to have like infinite perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving. I actually really desire to be aware of everything. And even though that may not always be comfortable, like with Jean-Marc, it may not be comfortable to feel bloated and tired. But when you stay in the question with those sensations and you stay in the question with the energies that are showing up, everything is changeable and everything is available and possible, and there are more choices available. So let me just check one quickie to see if we have any other questions before I say goodnight. I think that's it for now. Thank you all so much for showing up, for tuning in, for creating this show with me. I am so incredibly grateful. And if you have any suggestions for topics, if there's anything that you would like to know about, please go to the Facebook group Consciousness is Sexy and let me know. I would be more than happy to address anything and everything on the show. So everyone have an amazing day or evening wherever you are in the world. And I'm so grateful for you. And thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next week.